Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has been widely criticized for approving 7.5 million naira to replace liquid fragrance in his office and 3 billion naira to purchase rechargeable fans for the office of his deputy Obafemi Hamzat, in addition to other issues. Also, criticism trailed other contracts awarded by the state's public procurement agency in the second and third quarters of 2023, which included approval of over 440 million naira for the purchase of a new Lexus LX600 bulletproof sport utility vehicle for use in the pool of the Office of the Chief of Staff. The government also approved 152 million for the restoration of water supply at Idungono Palace, the official palace of the official residence of the Oba of Lagos, while the deputy governor was awarded 30 million for monthly outreach to indigent students by his wife. Joining us now on this show as we review the procurement activities of Lagos State government is Gbenga Omotoso, Commissioner for Lagos State, and Okpe George, Commissioner for Planning and Budget, Lagos State. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Well, the matter is on the table. It's in the public domain, triggered by Mr. Funsho Doherty, the gubernatorial candidate of the ADC in the last election. And he said he's speaking on the basis of facts because what he put out there in the public domain, all taken from the website of the procurement agency of Lagos State. And there are two issues, actually. The second one has not been as loud, which is Badebo Road's Vival, also raising alarm over the weekend that Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu was using Lagos State money, citizens' funds, taxpayers' money to pay legal fees. So let's start with the procurement process in Lagos State. You know, I've given those details, but the one that concerns me is this distribution of chickens in local governments and wards in the office of the Chief of Staff. How did you guys distribute chickens across local governments and wards? And we didn't see chicken in my own local government. Please, if somebody has collected my own chicken, I want it. Let me start with you, Commissioner for Budget and Planning.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning again. Thank you for having us. So, you know, in Lagos, we run a very transparent system. So the fact that everything we've done is actually situated on the PPA website, I think is a starting point. So there's a lot of transparency. Everything is there. Nothing is hidden. So in terms of these comments you've made, you know, I think the challenge or the issue is in how things are put or classified. So when we're doing budgeting, for instance, we always do facts behind the figures. We then explain what is behind the figures what we're putting out there. So you talked about the fact of the bulletproof car. So it says bulletproof car for the office for Chief of Staff. It's not for the Chief. It's the Office of Chief of Staff. The Office of Chief of Staff is 800 plus people, various buildings, you know, and that car, for instance, it's this car that's in the pool. So when we have visiting dignitaries, we recently had the German Chancellor who was in the States, who came into the States, you know, we have to provide. So these are things that are done. So it's not a car that is used by the Chief of Staff, it's a car that is in the pool, you know, which we use for dignitaries when they come in. And then these also translate to, you know, we look after our dignitaries, we pick them up, they're things we just have to do. So that is one example of, you know, in terms of classification and being able to explain a bit better those sort of issues.
Yeah, but tie about 30 million to indigent citizens for the wife of the deputy governor. Okay. People have some indigent people that I saw yesterday. They are saying, where is their own? Because they are indigent.
Okay, so again, it's not 30 million. It is for a whole year. So if you look at it and you say that's 2.5 million per month, and it's across various wards and various local government areas, and it's social protection. So for instance, in this year, in our 2024 budget, for instance, we've ramped up a lot in terms of our social protection. We understand the fact that there are a lot of economic hardships and realities out there. So we've increased the amount of money we've put in for social protection. So whilst we know that infrastructure and all this sort of hard infrastructure we're building to try and ensure we keep up is important, we've also tried to ensure that we focus on our social protection as well. So it's not 30 million a month it's spread over a year.
So let's talk about accountability. I'm just hearing that you've got social protection.
Yes, sir.
Where are the people benefiting from the social protection? Who are they? Do you have a list? Do you have a glossary?
We have a social protection register.
Yeah.
You know, so we also have.
Can it be made public?
Yes, we have we have it within the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget.
Can it be made public?
Yes, it can be made public.
Okay. Will it be made public?
There's no reason why it can't be made public.
So that we ascertain these people and cross them with the line item and the money disbursed. How much is disbursed to them?
It depends on I mean, we have various cadres and various criteria for how we distribute social protection. So, you know, for instance, if I tell you now, over the next couple of days, we have a skill acquisition program. We have various skill acquisition programs within the state. So over the next couple of days, we're going to be graduating close to, I think, 4,000 or so students in various skill acquisition. So we're heavily into social protection. And, you know, all these things
How much is the money spent, every line item? Can that also be published for the social register that Lagos has?
We're open and transparent, and we're happy.
And does that social protection register feeds into the normal palliative register?
It is social protection. Everything we don't double. So we don't have double items. So we don't have people on one register that are not on the other register. We have a comprehensive register which we check and which we keep and which we use for.
So how much of this 2.5 goes to them? How is the money disbursed? How is it spent?
I can't give you that figure off the top of my head here.
Okay.
You know, but we can definitely provide the information that.
Can you also do well to publish it? Because when I hear social, because you know it's always
yes,
couch.
It is,
but it's very vague and ambivalent.
I hear what you're saying, but you know, it's also very, very important to know that you know the starting point is accountability. So you know, if we don't, since we have this website and we have this information, we do publish them, and we're happy to keep them and publish them.
Because when you look at it, how much did you guys, was it that register you used to disburse the palliatives? How much did you guys give to them? So if you say you disburse the palliative through this social mechanism, and you now have another social register through the office of the deputy governor?
No, we don't have another register through the office of the deputy
So it's
governor.
Just that register?
Yes, correct. We don't have one. We don't have various registers.
So why, if you have a national palliative that came in, why are you putting in the budget again? And how much is going to be spent? How is it going to be outlined?
It's going to be accounted for. We have a register. You go to the register, you pick, and you distribute through the register. So everything is transparent. And as I said, we're happy to provide that.
We would like to see that part.
Omotoso, let's bring you into the conversation. Mr. Funsho Doherty says he has written to the Lagos State government, and he has made the letter an open letter. Has the Lagos State government responded to him? Because, I mean, he's a stakeholder in Lagos State. Or is the Lagos State government planning to send him a response and explain these issues? Second, what is the justification for the Lagos State government renovating the palace of the Oba of Lagos? Because Idungono Palace was mentioned. And also, you know, renovating a church, St. Andrew's Anglican Church, Okekpoko. What is, I mean, you and I, we wrote many editorials in the past at The Guardian, saying that, look, government should leave religion to the religious people and government should not get involved, which was why we used to argue in those days that, look, even pilgrimage, government should only help with consular support, logistics, and not use public funds to support religion. But here is Lagos State government being accused of helping to renovate a church and helping to renovate the Oba of Lagos's palace. How many palaces will Lagos State renovate? Which other palaces as Lagos State renovate also? Because, I mean, there are other Obas. There is the Oniruo, there is the Elegushio, there is the Oba in Ikorodu. So is this part of the team's agenda?
Thank you so much, Ruben. First is to thank Mr. Doherty for that open letter. And talking about replying it, we have also replied openly. The Office of PPE issued yesterday a statement concerning this matter and mentioned each item that Mr. Doherty spoke of and explained everything. And talking about shaking and all of that, I do not see why the social responsibility of the Lagos State government can be, so brought down to shaking and all of that. I believe that you and Rufa, you don't deserve chickens, you deserve cows, because you are big boys. You are talking about people at the lowest rung of the ladder who are very happy to take these chickens that we are talking about. But first, there is a matter that you mentioned before we came into this, which I consider more serious, that Mr. Sanwo-Olu, the governor, paid lawyers
yes,
legal fees from the state treasury. I say here now categorically that there was nothing like that. It's all false. It's all fake. It's from incredible sources. There was something that was brought up, and Mr. Sanwo-Olu refused to approve it because the person who may have prepared the paper may have been somebody who is not knowledgeable about such matters. You can't spend state funds on political disputes or political matters in whatever guys. So Mr. Sanwo-Olu knows this very well. So the Attorney General and Mr. Sanwo-Olu, they refused to pay that money, and it was not approved. If anybody has any proof that a dime of the state's money left the treasury on this particular matter, the person should just bring it out. And talking about renovation of a church, that church is not just an ordinary church. That church was founded in 1889. It's a national monument, not even a Lagos State monument. And that church, Lagos State went in there because we had to demolish part of the property. We had to take away their parking lot. We had to take away their fence and some other things there because we were building the Adeniji-Adele Road. Don't forget Adeniji-Adele Road is a very symbolic, it's very important to us because that is where we are building the Mercy Street Hospital, which is going to be the biggest pediatric hospital in Africa, if not in Africa, in West Africa. And so many other things that we are doing around that area. So in building that road, the church fell, part of the property fell on the right of way, and we had to take them out. And in taking them out, we had to pay compensation. We had to rebuild the church because it's a national monument that people would like to see in future. So talking about the renovation of the Oba's Palace is part of our social responsibility. The guy, Idugonro, is not just another Oba's Palace. It's historic. It's also a national monument. There's no way you can talk about traditional rulers for palaces in Nigeria and you won't mention Idugonro. I mean, in Lagos, that is a tourist attraction that people go to see all of the time. So for Lagos State government to watch and allowed Iga to deteriorate or not to have water or not to have all of the amenities that it's supposed to have is going to be diminishing to the not just to Lagos State government, to an average Lagosian who is also proud of all of the traditional things that we hold there in Lagos, our culture, which the Iga and the Oba symbolize. So that is it.
Okay, so I checked through the documents properly, and this for both of you. Part of the procurement, I saw something very shocking. The fact that there were a lot of foreign cars listed. Lexus, bulletproof, foreign cars here and there. But the shocking thing is, in this Lagos, you have an indigenous car producer called Nord, produces out of Ekpe, that has the capacity to be able to make bulletproof cars, and is Nigerian made. But none of your procurement looked at supporting that young Nigerian. You'd like to go first?
Okay, thank you very much. So it's a very good question. So we actually do in the Office of Chief of Staff Fleet, we actually do have, I believe, cars that are procured, I think, innocent, some cars that are made within the country. So that does exist. Now, in terms of what you've just said, Nord, I haven't heard of the car, if I'm being, but it's something that I'm sure we do support. Local.
It's right there in Ekpe.
Well, we do support. As I said, we do have within the fleet, we do have innocent, which I have seen myself. So I'm sure that if that's the case, and if it meets the specifications, and it's what is required, I'm sure it would be looked at. But I know one of the things we do, one of the things Mr. Governor is particular about is supporting local indigenous industries.
Another question will be, and that's coming to you, sir, the motorized mill. I thought it was supposed to be a PPP model. I thought it was supposed to be done in such a way that the state does not now start to get all the encumbrances. But we are seeing on your line item, the state has to produce XYZ amount on the motorized mill. What's happening?
The motorized mill is like a baby. When you have a baby, the baby has to be nursed to grow. It's not a baby that you have today and you expect the baby to begin to crawl same day and begin to walk the next day.
Isn't this baby sucking too much milk in the feeding bottle?
Not at all, because everything is working according to the plan. The people who are managing the motorized mill, they are one of the best in the world. That is the trait that they know.
Where's the rice from the rice mill?
Of course, it's all over the place. But
How many tons of rice did you produce last year?
Let me tell you a secret. Do you know that some of our people go to that place to get the rice off the mill, distributors, and then they go and repackage the rice and put foreign emblems there?
Okay, so how many tons of rice did the rice mill produce last year? You would like to say?
Okay, no, I think I just wanted to touch on the structure you talked about. So you said, it's meant to be a PPP. I mean, indeed, it is meant to be a PPP, and it will be a PPP. So the way the rice mill is structured is such that it will transition into a PPP. Now, most times when we start these projects, we try and ensure that investors, when they come in, they can look at it and ensure that the project can work on its own in terms of the cash flows and everything. So when we look at the rice mill, for instance, the rice mill, there's a procurement process going through for it to become a PPP, which is constantly being taken through.
And that's why we're still
now.
paying.
No, so what we're doing now is initially we started the rice mill. So now we have a management contract with a company called Walcott, who are, possibly one of the best to help us run the rice mill for a period of time. It then transitions into
how many years will that
concession?
take?
2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
Well,
So we have to pay till that one happens. Then, as the rice mill started churning out rice, does it have paddy? Does it get the paddy it needs? Does it get enough paddy to churn out the tonnage of rice it needs?
We have enough. We're not utilizing both lines of the rice mill right now, but we have enough paddy to utilize for what we want.
So how many tons did it churn out last year?
I can't give you the exact. I'll have to confirm.
Let's come back to procurement.
But I can give you the exact.
Let's come back to procurement,
Yes.
which is our major issue. Now, there is a report that said the allegation that 2 billion naira was used for rechargeable funds in the office of the deputy governor. Just hold on.
Yes, sir.
Now that the procurement agency has now issued a statement saying it's not 2 billion, that it is 2 million naira. But investigation done by Premium Times disclosed that as at the time Mr. Doherty made his post on November 18, 2023, it was at 4:22 p.m. 4:22 p.m. on November 18. But then the PPA went back to the website, and then there was an adjustment of the figure at 7:25 p.m. So is it that the Lagos Procurement Agency has gone back to that website to doctor a number of things? Because that is what is being claimed according to this report. Maybe Funsho Doherty himself would at some point further confirm that he made his post at 4:25 p.m. and that website was doctored at 7:25 p.m. What happened in that regard? And then second, I would like to ask you, this social protection that you've been talking about, that Rufai is expecting to see the full register, who is in charge of that social protection? This 2.5 million per month that you talked about, is it the wife of the deputy governor that is in charge of social protection? We would like to know who is in charge of that social protection. And then for you, Omotoso, the governor went recently to London on a roadshow, Lagos Financial Hub. Where are we with that Lagos Financial Hub?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So, in terms of the timings, I can't tell you what time Mr. Funsho Doherty put it on or didn't put it on.
No, I'm quoting a report from Premium Times.
Okay. So what I can say is that it wasn't 2 billion naira for any fund that didn't exist. But in terms of the figure, it was 2 million. So whilst I would say that yes, there was an error in terms of what was put on the website. And having said so, one of the things that have come out of that is, we know that checks and balances, proper checks and balances have to be put in place. So one of the things Mr. Governor has done is to ensure that, before things go out, obviously, they need to be checked and double checked. So that was an error. It wasn't 2 billion. So I think that it's clear to sort of state that categorically. So moving on to the next question in terms of the social protection. There's a register, there's an office, we have a social protection unit within the Office of Economic Planning and Budget, which sits, and so it's not under the Deputy Governor's wife's office or anything. So there is a proper full-fledged office.
Yes, tell us more about Lagos Financial Hub and the road show.
Yeah, the what you call a road show is what we call the Lord Mayor's show in London. That's a culture of about 850 years. Anytime a new Lord Mayor is in place during his after his inauguration, he holds he hosts the Lord Mayor's show. And then Lagos is the first African state to have been invited to this Lord Mayor's show, which has a tradition, as I said, of about 850 years. And when we were there, the show that you saw on television is a prelude to business engagement. And it took place in the heart of the city, the heart of a business. And the whole idea is to make Lagos a financial hub, an international financial center. And a council has been created for that, headed by Mr. Governor himself, Mr. Sanwo-Olu, and Mr. Ike Imokwede, the famous banker. And they were there for the roadshow, and a lot of things happened. They met members of the business community, and so many people were happy, so many of them, that Lagos was coming and inviting the world to come and see what we are doing in Lagos. Mr. Governor had so many meetings with so many people in the business community, talking about all of the things we are doing in Lagos, how much investments should be coming into Lagos because of our population, because we are very big in Africa. Return on investment is big and very fast too. And so many of these business people promise to have a follow-up meetings and visit Lagos to see what they can do in the area of transportation, in the area of health, in the area of infrastructure. You know, we are trying to build the Fort Mainland Bridge. We are trying to build a film city. We are trying to do the Omo Creek, and we are trying to do a new airport around Lekki. So all of these are things that were put before the business community, and so many of them showed their interest in coming to Lagos to look at this. And we told them so many things about how to facilitate their coming into Lagos, all of the fears about visa issues, all of the things that they need to do, how to obtain a permit for land, and so many other things that may be hazy to them. Mr. Governor was able to explain to them, and they were convinced that Lagos is here to do business. We told them about the population of Lagos, that is the tiniest state in Nigeria, and yet it has the biggest population, and that this population alone in itself is an attraction for investors. And all in all, I think it was a very useful engagement with the business community, who now know better that Lagos is the place to invest in Africa.
Okay, Commissioner for Information, Lagos State, Omotoso, and Commissioner for Budget. Well, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, there are other questions. This 440 million bulletproof vehicle for visiting dignitaries, you say, has it been bought? What vehicle was Lagos State using previously for visiting dignitaries? Why buy 440 million naira bulletproof vehicle for visiting dignitaries at a time when inflation is 27.33%? And okay, some people in the studio are looking at me and they are saying at a time when they cannot even afford to buy a bag of rice. They will take a short break now. When we return, we'll address those issues. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Our guests are still here. Gbenga Omotoso, Commissioner for Information, Lagos State, and Okpe George, Commissioner for Planning and Budget, Lagos State. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. Well, before we went on break, George, I had asked you about this bulletproof 440 million vehicle for visiting dignitaries. Has it been bought? I know you referred to Olaf Scholz, German Chancellor, when he visited Lagos in October. Was that the vehicle that he used? And before then, which vehicle was Lagos State using to receive visiting dignitaries? And why would a 440 million bulletproof vehicle be such a priority? In Zambia, the president says no. You know, he's introducing austerity. In fact, he says he will not travel. He's not even going to COP28. No luxury, because that country has just taken a loan from IMF. President Hichilema also, you know, African leader. He has not even collected salary for more than 8 months since he assumed the office. But here in Nigeria, our senators are writing 70 million SUVs. They say it's for work. In Lagos, we are hearing 440 million bulletproof vehicle. Has it been procured?
Okay, so thank you again for the question, Ruben. And I think I'll start by saying, yes, I understand the sensitivities and understand the point you're making. The car has been bought. It's a brand new car. It would last for the next 4 to 5 years in terms of, I think in terms of vehicles like that, as I said earlier, it's being used for visiting dignitaries, securities. There are various specifications which, I believe we need to follow when those sort of vehicles are being purchased. But having said so, we've also purchased vehicles from Volkswagen in Nigeria, so we do support local vehicles and local manufacturers. We were just told now about the car which was being assembled in Ekpe, which we would look into. So I think just to sort of say that, yes, the car has been bought. It is not that we're trying to sort of, we're not sensitive to the fact that it may seem that, we are, but it is just one of these things that we need to sort of follow when it comes to things like security and requests.
Okay. I'm talking about the car they used for that kind of purpose before we bought this one. Honestly, the governor used to surrender his own vehicle for such dignitaries.
Which is a good thing.
Okay. So let's go straight quickly to a couple of other questions I have here. The monies the state government pays consultants.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about that. Those amounts are huge. I've seen 3 billion in one regard for those that negotiated the money taken for the blue line and the lights and all of that. I mean, can't we scale them down? We're paying consultants cumulatively billions of naira at a time where Lagos has not had potable drinking water for a while. Okay. What's supposed to be the priority here?
Okay, let me try and answer that from the back to the front. So when we look at projects, for instance, we're looking at infrastructure projects. One of the challenges we tend to have when we start these projects is that we don't do the right studies, we don't do the right, so we get to the end and it's not a bankable project. So one of the things we do is when we're looking at projects, we take a whole range of gamut of things. We look at to make sure the right studies are done. So we engage some of the financing we require would not be acceptable, would not get the financing if we don't do the right studies. So we have to engage these consultants. We ensure that as much as possible, we try and get value for money when it comes to the consultants we use. But we do use reputable consultants. We use consultants that, once we get into financing, we can then look at it and they would pass the test and pass muster. So we try as much as possible to ensure that we get value for money in terms of our consultants we use, and we try as much as possible to ensure that at the end of the day, it's a bankable transaction.
So is there a tenders process at which you get the consultant where you get the best price possible?
Correct.
And is that put out there in public?
We have a tenders process. So for
can we see that advertisement?
We always publish all our tenders. So we put it, for instance, certain projects you have to put it in the newspapers internationally and locally. So there's a transparent tender process which we have to follow, and we're happy to sort of make all that available. And if we don't sort of go through the tender process, we can't raise the financing. Okay,
let's talk about the independent power project needed for the rail to be able to work.
Yes, sir.
Because it's supposed to be an electric train, but all of a sudden we're already running, what's it called? Yeah, the blue line is supposed to be electric.
There are two lines. The blue line is electric, the red line is diesel.
Diesel, yeah.
Yes,
but the blue line we are running now,
yes, sir,
we're not running electric.
We are running electric. We've switched on to electric.
Okay, we've switched on to electric.
Correct.
Let's talk about that project. It was supposed to be sort of like another PPP sort of partnership.
Correct, sir.
But we are seeing monies in the line item and whatever. Can you explain further?
Again. So with that, again, there's a transition, like with the rice mill, there's a transition period. So the blue line is going to transit. We have an O&M, operations and maintenance contract now, which is going to transit in the next 2 years. So we actually started running a PPP process as well for the blue line. But you'd find that, and it's in a way, it's a good, I think we're in a good position. And the reason I say so is because we now have a fully functioning train system. So investors can come and they can see. So, so it's easier for an investor coming in to see, he can see the cash flows, he can see how it's working, and then we can then transition it in. So the other lines we have, which we're trying to develop, which we're going through the process, you find that it's a live transaction. The transaction is there. It's easier to sort of transition it into a PPP process, which is ongoing. So the line is working. The investors are looking at it in terms of come and sort of
Go ahead. Just finish up.
Coming to come and sort of take over the PPP process, which we're transitioning into. So I think we've done well in terms of...
So what's the debt stock you got for this rail project that made you pay investors over 3 billion?
We've not paid, when you say what's the debt stock?
Or that made you highlight over 3 billion, for what's it called, for what are they called, consultants. So you said the consultants help you with the finance process, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Going through the financial, doing studies and all of that.
Yes, correct.
What's the kind of debt stock you got for this rail line project?
You see, what is that? What is the cost? Or
the debt.
Well, the total, first of all, I think is important.
Okay, let me ask you the way. Okay. Did you borrow for the rail line?
Let me also...
So how much did you borrow?
Let me explain something to you, first of all. Okay, so, there are very few subnationals that have taken on rail projects. Rail projects typically are done by nationals. So it's a very, very tough prospect to undergo. We've done that, and it's been very tough, but we've done it. One of the key things Mr. Governor had pointed out was that he wanted to ensure that he would be able to sort of have trains running in a city like Lagos, which is important. And I'm very proud, and the fact that we've been able to do that in terms of the blue line. Thank you. In terms of the blue line and the red line. So it's for us. I think we need to be able to sort of whilst it's good for us to sort of talk about the issues we have, also talk about our successes.
How much debt has been taken for this project?
I can tell you, I can give you a ballpark figure of the cost we have so far.
Okay.
On the, and then bear in mind that the blue line, for instance, has been over a couple of years.
Okay. So the debt, the figures. Can I get the figures?
We have in the debt component. But we have a total circa maybe 200 to 240 in terms of
$240 million.
In terms of naira, billion. In terms of
billion naira.
Yes. In terms of the stock, when you talk about the rolling stock and the infrastructure.
So how much of that is in debt?
I can't give you the split off the top of my head.
Well, as we begin to wrap up, Omotoso, let me come to you. Now, obviously, the opposition in Lagos State is awake now. We've had Funsho Doherty of the ADC raising issues. We have had Gbadebo Revival raising issues, although you have dismissed that the governor never gave any approval with regard to requests for legal fees to be paid from the state purse. We don't know who will come tomorrow. Maybe it's a Jandor. How prepared is your office, in dealing with all this? Because there would most likely be more whistleblowing. And will the Lagos State government continue to sustain that procurement website? Because some states don't have. Yes. So I don't think they have it in Delta State. Some other states, they don't bother to post anything about procurement. So with the wahala that this has cost now, are we likely in the next 2-3 months to see that procurement website in Lagos State, there's nothing there? So that you don't turn around and say, when we buy turkey or chicken for Christmas now, these people, they will come again and come and check how much did they spend. Would that website be shut down?
Well, let me just assure Mr. Duarte and other Lagosians that website will remain alive. It's never going to be shut down because we are open, we are transparent, we are doing things according to the best practices in the world. So we are not going to shut down that website. It's going to remain alive. Everything will be there, all in the spirit of democracy, in the spirit of transparency, in the spirit of openness that the Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration is known for. And talking about, what did you say again?
Opposition,
yeah, they are welcome. In fact, I'm thinking now, as you are talking about Mr. Duarte and the rest of them, I'm thinking that Mr. Governor may even consider, when he won the election, he said Lagosians should join us with him, especially people in the opposition, people who lost the election, no victor, no vanquish, they should come so that we can be on the same train to the greater Lagos journey we are talking about. So it will not be out of place if we invite Mr. Duarte to even come and be chairman of the board of that procurement agency. And I think because of his background as an accountant, he's likely to take up such
you think he's doing this because he's looking for an appointment?
Or just seeking attention? I'm not going to say that, but I'm doing that offer now on behalf of Mr. Governor. But just to say on a very serious note, government is a very serious business. No matter how parsimonious you are, no matter how much penny pinching that you are, you must spend money. It's just that people tend to look at the salacious aspect of it, talking about shaking and all of that, not thinking about the money that we are spending on training people in the science and innovation sector. All of our young men who have 250 million to go and apply for, so that when they have any innovative ideas, they can do. Not talking about our 16 vocational centers, we are about 16,000 students have passed out. They were trained free of charge, and when they graduated, they were not left to their own devices. They were given equipment to go and start their own trade. About 6,000 of them are going to pass out again on Wednesday in these vocational centers. People should look at all of that, not talking about shaking or all the young people we are training in the creative industry. Over 6,000 of them who have been trained by Ebony, who have been trained by Ama, who have been trained by Ogidi, who are now very confident filmmakers, script writers, and so many other things. So people should look at it as from that angle. And in any case, you are talking about Lagos, the 5th largest economy in Africa. Lagos with a population of about 30 African countries put together. Lagos, that the population is increasing 10 times that of New York and Los Angeles. So for us, the bigger the bigger the headache.
Okay,
people should show understanding.
On that note, the people of Lagos hope that they will not share in the headache. They will get more in terms of dividends and palliatives. Thank you very much, Gbenga Omotoso. Thank you very much,
Thank you very much.